International Drive, the tourist hub of the Orlando area, has seen many attractions come and go over the years, with very few sticking around for long. But on the corner of I-Drive and Universal Boulevard sat a giant castle with a skull waiting outside to greet you for 10 years. This was Skull Kingdom.
Skull Kingdom, a haunted castle full of fun and fright, in Orlando, Florida. International Drive an American way, across from Wet and Wild. Come if you dare!
Well, speaking of haunted locations, there are several right here in Central Florida.
And our good buddy John Graham scared up the ghouls a little early at a local spot.
Hey there, guys. Welcome to Skull Kingdom. Oh, just a second. I said, welcome to Skull Kingdom! We're waiting for the special effects. The ghosts are a little slow. It is Halloween. We're down here on I-Drive at Skull Kingdom. There we go!
Back in 1996, Trevor Thompson and Jim Doyle came to Orlando to build a Guinness Book of World Records attraction. While planning this, they encountered a local real estate developer, Tahir Ansari, who had a prime piece of property in the heart of this tourist land, right across the street from Wet n Wild and just down the road from Universal Studios. Trying to do something different, they came up with the idea of a year-round haunted house, and Tahir invested in the project estimated to cost $1.4 million to build, though that amount increased over time to over $2 million. Doyle, who designed the attraction, had been a designer for a few of the Ripley's attractions, and Trevor Thompson served as the general manager of the project. The huge 16,000 square foot castle stood as an icon on the corner with a skeletal face and fireballs bursting into the air throughout the night. While hiring began for the attraction, the talent hired was incredible for this interactive walkthrough with several stops planned throughout. Dan Caro, Nick Herrera, Alan Hops, Kim Donovan, and even Dreamfinder Ron Schneider for a short time, among many other extremely talented people were involved. Many people who had a part in the iconic Terror on Church Street had involvement with the early days of Skull Kingdom. Unlike the polished sets and story of Terror though, Skull Kingdom was different from the start. The opening was rushed, and many of the actors hired were helping to paint the sets and put the finishing touches into the building. Skull Kingdom opened on Friday the 13th, June 1997.
You're about to take an amazing journey through mazes, caverns, and halls. But of course, there are rules you must obey within these castle walls.
The sets were freshly painted, and there were no costumes for the staff, with most of them being airbrushed and wearing black t-shirts. Those who were hired that had their own costumes brought them along and got key roles in the show. The attraction wanted to be two somewhat contradicting things. Family friendly, but also scary. The stops within the attraction for photos and such within had a mix of scary and jokes with things such as guess the prisoner's last meal and lettuce with a head of Caesar in it. Some of the rooms even had signs in telling guests to wait or enter for when they could proceed into the next room, which of course nobody followed. On the press night, many things were not working, with electronic problems, bottlenecks, and people just getting lost inside, and the reputation of the brand new attraction was at stake.
And this is one of the things that the guy did when we first opened it. We thought it was kind of a neat idea because we've used it where we have guys actually behind the trampoline pushing on the wall when you're walking through. We found that actually scares people. It's pretty cool. It's kind of like a claustrophobia type thing.
Kane Hodder, an actor known for playing Jason Voorhees, was personally invited to the opening, and it was a disaster. The opening had a weird mixture of scenes inside that were mostly out of place and not even fitting in with the scenes they were supposed to be interacting with. After 2 hours, the brand new attraction was closed and wouldn't reopen for over a week. Major changes were needed, and it wouldn't be the management who came up with them. The actors were sat down and asked, how can we fix this? Together, the talented team of employees working in the attraction would work tirelessly to save the attraction, and it worked. At least for a while. They created a loose script to be followed throughout and how to scare in each scene. Each person learnt from each other and continued to try and make it special. More and more talented actors and makeup artists poured in and continued to improve the experience. There was no budget, so props and effects were required any way possible, and many were built by the cast themselves. Each room was recreated to increase the flow and safety of the attraction. The cast really got to do it their own way and create the experience. The tour itself started strong with a video-based Pepper's Ghost effect followed by a demonic animatronic, and a floor drop-in effect. While the sets were not the best standard, they were varied, and the cast really gave it their all to scare as much as possible, even competing among themselves to get the best scare or the most scares of the night. The cast was usually between 6 to 10 actors, peaking at around 15 in the early years. One day, Alan Hops and Dan Caro came in to pick up their paychecks, and the day cast had been out to lunch and just didn't come back, and guests were waiting to come inside. The usual 6-person show was done completely by these two guys by lining up the masks and outfits for the different scenes and went all out. That lunch team that never came back were fired. The attraction eventually became a 3-person show.
I've heard that this room is actually haunted, that the employees here, the ghouls that run the place, think that this room actually has real ghosts running around.
Oh yes, we have several encounters in here, actually. One of them, one of the former managers, thought he saw another member of the management team down on the stairs over there. And when he went to ask him a question, the person bowed and vanished through a wall.
Wow. Whoa, scared me there. You did that on purpose, didn't you?
Little surprises around every corner.
When Skull Kingdom opened, it was in huge debt, but the cast within worked so hard to turn that around and take it out of the debt, and they did. One of the bigger issues for Skull Kingdom was the location. While it was easily visible, it wasn't quite so easy to find the entrance, because if you took the wrong turn, you ended up on I-4. After around 2 years, Trevor had moved on to working close by at iFly, but still consulted on the attraction, with Doug Wolf taking over as the GM. The most defining aspect, the more I researched Skull Kingdom, that differentiated it to some of my other expeditions I've worked on, was the passion of the people involved with it, even to this day. Every single person I spoke to had nothing but amazing things to say about the other people working with them at Skull Kingdom. Described as a family, the cast worked together to literally build and turn it into a success, and many stories of friendships really stood out, including an incredible encounter for one bachelor who visited the attraction that the cast would make sure he never forgot. Everyone wanted to mention somebody else who made it special or made it work. How they all spent their time together, scared together, and even grew up together.
For you, sir.
I'm Orlick.
Will you tell me a little bit about this room? We're in one of the many rooms here at Skull Kingdom. Matter of fact, if you've been here just even a month ago, things have changed, haven't they?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about this room, man of many words.
This room is one of the newest rooms here in Skull Kingdom. This is our fully functional cemetery, complete with many bodies.
You want to introduce anybody?
Over here we have Martha, right on top, and right downstairs from her we've got Stuart. So we got Martha, and then we got Stuart.
You're clever ghosts here, aren't you?
Yes.
In 1999, Skull Kingdom added some props from the auction of the closed terror on Church Street. After 5 years of relative success, it was all about to change. Tahir had taken on a new partner named Zia Burney, and even just meeting him, some of the current employees knew the end was coming. During 2001, many of the talented cast who built the attraction themselves and worked so hard to turn it around left and moved on to other things, if they hadn't already moved on by that point. Zia cut paychecks significantly and had constant issues with the cast. One cast member working at Skull Kingdom during the time told me that he had learned everything how not to run a business due to how Zia had run that place into the ground. The remaining cast though still tried to make it work as much as possible. Zia had bought a controlling share in the attraction around the time of the tourism decline due to 9/11. He replaced the gift shop within with a magic show dinner which was mostly reheated pizza for people attending. Piece by piece, what made the show work was removed by a manager who had no experience or interest in making it a success. I honestly tried to find a positive story of the place when Zia ran it, but I could find none, with stories of him even not knowing what Halloween was yet, and he was running a haunted house. He cut the staff to 2 and later even 1 actor working the show. Whatever the impressive castle could have became was no more. Skull Kingdom closed in November 2006, never to reopen again. The building was intended to be torn down and replaced with a timeshare development. Instead of selling off the assets, the place would be sold as one whole lot. The auction took place with around 20 people in attendance. A few former employees came along also. A single buyer would soon own the building and everything inside, and they had 15 days to remove anything before the bulldozers arrived.
27, anybody else, all they're done, last call, another 27,000, 26, once, twice, and I sold it to you, $26,000, thank you.
The winner of the auction was the owners of Daytona Lagoon Water Park for a price of $26,000. Almost immediately after it sold, Zia ushered everyone outside and started arguing with the winners, which resulted in the police arriving to control the situation. Zia had attempted to get out of the deal as he wanted more money and was expected to reach $100,000. He had reportedly been offered $70,000 for the place, which he had already turned down. After some haggling, the deal was set for $32,500 and Skull Kingdom was to be no more. Everything that could be taken inside was reused at a new haunt in Daytona Beach called Terra Lagoon, inside the Daytona Lagoon Water Park.
Join us if you dare this Halloween season at Terra Lagoon, located in the catacombs of Daytona Lagoon and Daytona Beach.
The bulldozers did come in as scheduled and the castle on the corner was torn down. The condos which were planned to replace it were never built, when the business partner of the developer committed suicide and his company never recovered. Today, all that exists is an empty space where it was once located and an empty field with remains of the old parking lot. The memories of Skull Kingdom fades into the tourism history of Central Florida, but one aspect remains. The family of cast members who worked, played, and built Skull Kingdom, making it a success even if it was for a short time. I was lucky enough to speak to many people involved with the creation of this place, and every single person recited amazing stories about the people they worked and grew up with at Skull Kingdom. From Dan Caro, who went on to create Legends Are Haunted at Old Town, a place I hope to cover in the future, Doug Wolf, Charles Heelan, Nix Herrera, Alan Hops, who now runs an impressive haunt Dark Harbor in Texas, Kim Donovan, who has written a screenplay inspired by a time in haunted houses, to Robert Sandler, who ran the final tour through the building, to so many more talented people who are the heart of Skull Kingdom. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Expedition Haunts. Did you remember seeing Skull Kingdom and did you visit? Let us know in the comments below. We will see you next time.